Alright, some important context before we get into these matches. This tournament had 48 players enter. They would go through a Swiss qualification process, meaning the first round had randomized matchups, and from there, everyone would play someone else with the same record as them. This video is the fourth and final round of that Swiss qualification process. Afterwards, 16 players will emerge on the other side and go to the playoffs. Now, it's not 16 yet. It'll really be 15 because the way it works is that 3 wins automatically qualifies you for playoffs. So with these numbers, then we're going to have 3 players who won all 4 rounds, and then we're going to have 12 players who won 3 rounds and lost 1. And that leaves us at 15 out of the 16 we need. So then there are going to be 18 players who won 2, lost 2. And they are going to fight it out in a mini playoff for that 16th slot in the actual playoffs themselves. And that's the video after this. Very exciting stuff. But this round 4 is also climactic, important, all that fun stuff, because we are going to be looking at the matches that matter for playoff chances. So the 1-2 bracket and the 2-1 bracket. In the 1-2 bracket, then if you lose, you're done. And if you win, then you stay alive to play that 18-player playoff just to have a chance at that 16th spot in the actual playoffs. And if you're in the 2-1 bracket, if you lose, you're not done, but you are going to be thrown into that bloodbath of an 18-player playoff just to stay alive. And if you win, then obviously you cement your spot in the playoffs. So, important stuff all around. So, let's get into it. This match is from the 2-1 bracket. Byron the Well versus Hack. So, winners in the playoffs, loser drops to the 2-2 bracket and will have to fight it out for their lives. So, T-Tar, Kyogre. T-Tar can stay in if it's really bulky or Sash, but most of the time, no, it's not going to do that. It's going to switch out to Blissey, which does not take Specs damage from Water Spout, but still a pretty healthy chunk. At least Kyogre gets chipped as well. And Clef comes in, and if this is going to be a bulky War of Attrition, then you love having Clef on your side. If there's going to be rocks and sand and probably spikes too. But we see that Hack's Clef does not have knockoff. I personally think knockoff is too good to not use. But he does not have it, and that might be big in this long, drawn-out game. He gets Spikes up very quickly as Byron chooses to T-Wave the Scarm as well, and then reveals his own Scarm, so that's pretty big because this means his Scarm rate is always going to be faster than Hack's, so he'll always beat it to the Whirlwind, which can be big in games like these. If it's a lot of bulky Pokemon, that can't really hurt Scarm. So, with Kyogre being chipped, then Water Spout is not going to 2 a KO, even a weakened Blissey, even with Hazards up. And but Hack just takes that opportunity to go back to Scarm, but his Kyogre is getting worn down. If he's got Wish, then that's something else. He taunts Byron's Scarm on the switch, so now he's going to get another Whirlwind with max Hazards, and that could be nasty. And he full paras, which is unfortunate. That's what T-Wave's there to do. So, Scarm gets out of there, goes to Dialga on a Stone Edge. And there's a Draco Meteor. It doesn't look like band damage, and it's not, as Byron stays in, takes out Dialga. Now, Hack doesn't mind that because at least the Pokemon that could potentially pursue his Giratina, or put it into a weird match, or a weird one-on-one where Giratina's maybe afraid of pursuit, at least that's down, but losing Dialga is never nice, especially with max Hazards. So, yeah, that full para definitely burned him quite a bit. Because if T-Tar gets Whirlwinded there, then it's really even less of a threat. So, Hack goes to Skarmory, and interesting turn there, actually, as we go back, as Lugia comes into Tina O after, in comes Skarm, and Lugia roosts. Now, Taunt Skarm can still beat Lugia, even if paralyzed, but what Hack chose to do here was to go right for the Whirlwind, And I'm not quite sure why he did that. I guess he wanted a whirlwind as something like a Giratina O came in, rather than taunting it and effectively doing nothing. Because he assumed that there's no way that Byron's just going to stand and get taunted and then whirlwind it out. But Byron does just that. He reads Hack's move nicely and beats him to the whirlwind, as not fearing the taunt. And he drags in a Latios. So the good news for Hack with that T-Tar being down, in addition to helping out his Tina O, is that he will now be able to permanently replace the sand with rain. So his Tina O and Latios are not going to be getting chipped by it. But for now, it is still around. Now, Blissey is going to have to come in here with max hazards and sand, so dicey proposition. And if this Latios has Aurora, it could get very, very brutal very fast. So Lugia does not do well against it one-on-one, but Hack decides to play it safe and goes to Clefable, which has a fine matchup against Blissey one-on-one. It's not a losing matchup anyway. And it can eat up a Desperation Toxic. So nice move there, and he T-Waves Byron's Scarm, so now both Scarms are paralyzed. And in comes Kyogre on a Spike, hopefully, for Hack, and yes, it is. And now Blissey comes in, max hazards, and still avoiding that 2 KO from Surf. What a resilient Pokemon. Hack goes for the crit KO, does not get it. Clef comes in, and we're going to have ourselves a little war of attrition here, so... S-tosses, T-waves, and Byron's really just looking to get Scarm in for more whirlwind fun, or to get up that third layer. But he does not get up that third layer, and he just whirlwinds, trying to catch Kyogre. I guess, I don't think that was necessary, because Blissey could have switched in again, but I guess he didn't want to risk it. Because I guess he wouldn't want to risk it because he needs Blissey for Latios as well. And with T-Tar and Blissey potentially down, then he would, it's not likely that he would have another Latios answer. It's not like there are that many of them. So, anyways, we see from the lefties here that Hack's Scar, either it's a speed tie or Hack's Scarm is faster, which would make sense because it does have taunt. And now a Tina O does come in on the taunt. And in rain, it's not getting chipped, and it has accurate thunders. Now, Clef is surprisingly adept at dealing with Tina O, depending on the set. But sometimes it can just get bowled over. But it does not look like this Tina O has the Dragon Claw or Outrage necessary for that. At least not yet. If it's, using Earthquake, then... Because once Draco Meteor goes off, then, nothing. And Shadow Sneak obviously doesn't do anything. So, now we're in a weird stalemate where the Clef can't really hurt the Tina O either. And Shadow Sneak has a lot of PP. So, in addition to the other attacking PP Tina O has. So, it can just, spam its attacks here. And the funny thing is that nothing else on Hack's team wants to switch into Shadow Sneak, because Scarm would have to deal with a Thunder after, and, then same problem. It's not like you want to switch Tina O in after. So, even though it's parried and not doing any damage, Byron's Tina O is actually really threatening here. As we're going to skip ahead, because we saw an EQ there, but... he wants to burn some Soft Boiled PP too if he can help it, but most of the time just Shadow Sneak, make sure Tina O and Latios on the other side are not coming in. So Byron's threatening quite a bit here in this very interesting Stalwar. There's a crit EQ, but he doesn't really need his EQs for anything else. Doesn't do anything against Scarm, Tina O, Latios. And for Kyogre, you can just Sneak or Thunder, depending, so... And in comes Kyogre finally. He's going to sack it, and it switches in on as long as it didn't eat a full para. As long as the Tina O didn't full para on one of these two turns, then Kyogre's always going to come in. But he doesn't chip it with Ice Beam, which is unfortunate. Actually, it doesn't really matter. Well, the only way that Ice Beam chip would really matter would be is if they got into a Giratina O Shadow Sneak war, or it would let Hack pick... Byron's off with Sneak more easily, but that doesn't happen. Now he's still well out of Sneak range, and he's going to chase it out with a Dragon move, but the Tina O is going to come back in later and still be well out of Sneak range. It's going to come back in against Clef or Scarm later, and it's going to be the same issue. So Byron's going to sack his Scarm, and he still has an unrevealed poke. And no, he's not even going to sack the Scarm. Great move. He absorbs the Draco Meteor beautifully, and preserves his Skarmory for Death Fodder, and then goes to Lugia now that he knows that it can withstand it. So he chases out Tina O for more chip damage. Latios comes in, And now he can either sack Scarm or go right to Blissey. Or just stay in and try to Toxic the Latios, and doesn't get it. Big para there. And now Blissey comes in, and Latios is still looking healthy. And Hack decides to go for Calm Mind and to muscle through the Bliss, which I don't know was the wisest move, because he's not going to beat it now, because he's just going to get T-waved. So I think he had to go to Scarm, but the problem is that it's not looking like he has much of a win route anyway, because of Byron's Tina O looking so threatening at this point, since Dialgo went down so early to deal with the T-Tar. So those were some big turns early on. So it is Calm Mind recover Latios, but it's still with the paralysis hampering it and not getting extra health through leftovers, then it doesn't really look like it's going to be... I wouldn't put my money on Latios winning this war. You know, it's... I mean, yeah, he needs full pair and doesn't have infinite seismic tosses, but... Yeah, I don't know. He had to go for it, though, is the thing. He had to go for a low percentage strategy that... because he's so far behind. And, I mean, I guess you could say that it did dodge the Toxic from Lugia. I know Para and Toxic odd, and Toxic miss rate and everything, but... And crit, of course, possibility. But yeah, you gotta mention all the odds on both sides. So, more Blob Stall War, Taunt, Roost, Spikes, draining it of S-tosses. Yeah, maybe you could have tried this before committing with Latios, but as soon as Latios gets paralyzed, then Tina... well, actually, no, Tina is paralyzed, too. And you got to keep it out of sneak range, which is... yeah, tough. So now Tina O comes in on a taunt and thunders and crits. And full paras on a sneak as Hack comes in. So that's interesting that he chose to not sack Skarmory, and that he valued sneak chips so highly, because you would think that you could just sack Scarm and then do whatever you were going to do afterwards anyway. And Blissey coming into Tina O is, you know, you better hope it doesn't have Outrage. Then again, a lot don't, especially on Rain. The standard set has really evolved to be EQ, Draco, Thunder, Sneak. But yeah, it looks like I think Scarm could have been sacked there, and then you still have the Tina O, but now we're getting into this blob thing again. And now Tina O comes back in, which is really a desperation move more than anything else. But, I mean, look at... Clef has 0 rocks, 16 T-waves, 7 tosses, 6 soft-boileds. So it's not like he has a lot either. And now Hack's Tina gets paralyzed. And now I have no idea why Lugia is coming in here. Like, was he really just... I guess... if you can get the roost off, get it off. Otherwise, it's not really going to matter. So, yeah, you know, that's a fair point. I guess if he can get away with not revealing his last poke, then it's a good move. So, yeah, fair enough. I don't know why he didn't... maybe he doesn't have Ice Beam, but otherwise I don't know why you'd Calm Mind there. As Tina O thunders and paras and... okay, yeah, so it is going to be Rest, Sleep Talk. And that's going to be the game. So that was a real interesting marathon of a Game 1. We move on to Game 2. Switching sides for consistency. Now T-Tar's on the other side. Here comes a Darkrai. Here comes the Kyogre to absorb the Void. And lefties. So now Groudon comes in on lefties Kyogre. And it gets a good one-on-one against the T-Tar that's come back in. Now we don't know if it's Sash or going to want to stay in. He EQs right away just to catch potential rocks, and that's a big payback. So it does look like it's that banded payback T-Tar lead that's been popping up in this tour. And he's... Now, I think... Well, it's easy to say that he could have used a different... If he had Dragon Claw, I think he should have used it there, just because a Tina or a Lottie Twin coming in there's very clear. And if a Rest Talking Kyogre comes in, you know, big deal. And Rocks also, if he has it, would have been fine. But he doesn't. He goes for EQ, and he shows Protect, at least, so he's not going to worry about getting his health back. Protect is such a great move. And now Fori comes in as Hack doubles to another Clefable. Yeah, once he saw the Grass Knot on the Latias, then he's like, alright, no Thunder, I can get Fori in on it. And on a rain team, it's not going to have HP Fire, so good move from Byron. He gets some spikes. In comes Magnezone, which shows a big Specs T-Bolt. Specs is another cool Magnezone option that we've been seeing this tour for that big HP ground on Dialga. And with T-Bolt, then you slam Fori. Or with Specs, you slam Fori without needing HP Fire. Irrespective of weather as well. So now Groudon gets up Rocks very safely against the Specs Magnezone locked into T-Bolt. So he's got Rocks and 2 layers of Spikes already, and now Latios is threatening. So Hack doubles to Kyogre, trying to get it to wake up, and in comes a Mewtwo, which is not an ideal Lati answer, but it's not a bad one, especially if it's using Dragon Pulse over Draco Meteor, because if it's some sort of Stall 2 thing. So now in comes the Groudon once again, and it is a Calm Mind Kyogre, not Roar, with Sleep Talk. And Sun replaces the Rain, and now Hack is burning Sleep Turns nicely, but now Latias is in Sun. And it's going to run from that Clef because T-Wave is bad news for it, and he does in fact run from it. So he at least gets up Rocks on the Groudon, which does a chunk with EQ. Now in comes Latias. Is it going to be Toxic Blast? It is going to be Toxic Blast. Toxic Protect Groudon is such a beast. And it's ideal if you have Lava Plume over Rocks, but it's hardly bad if you have Rocks as well. So in comes Clefable, which is a perfect answer to those stall Mewtwo that don't run attacking moves. So if they run like Sub or Light Screen or Amnesia in the last slot, then Clefable will blank them forever. Can't even rely on hazards or anything to do the work for it. And even the ones that run Ice Beam, I mean, who cares? That bounces off. Some of them run Aura Sphere, which is also annoying, but manageable through something else. So Clef S-tosses as Groudon threatens it out, and double switch to Dialga with lots of hazards up against the Poison Latias as T-Tar is sacked. And even if it locks into Draco, then with all these hazards and the lack of lefties on Magnezone, who knows how much it's going to... Yeah, that does a lot. So Draco, I mean, it takes a lot from HP Ground, but... Hack makes a good move and preserves the zone, even if just as a fodder. It can be useful as Clef heals up, and the good news is that Groudon cannot threaten Latias with Dragon Claw. So, and even if it stays in on Recover, then it's not hitting... So it can't hit on the switch, and it can hit if Latias recovers. So it's at least got that going for it. So now Mewtwo throws up a Light Screen, so it is going to be completely... But here's another argument for not Clef. Now I realize a lot of it's team dependent, but I just think it's so good to have when your only source of damage with Clef is Seismic Toss, then it's so much less threatening. And if you permanently remove the lefties off this Mewtwo, then all those Seismic Tosses would be... I mean, yes, you're going to run through them real quick because of pressure, but you're also... forcing more recovers because every time you hit it, it's not healing those off passively. So he burns through some recovers and he gets Kyogre on a taunt, but he's also likely going to wake up soon. So in comes Latias, which completely walls it. And with T-Tar weakened so early in the game, then the strategy is, of course, T-Tar will pursuit Latias for Kyogre, but T-Tar took the EQ from Groudon, and there went that. So here comes Latias again, Dragon Pulse, and in comes Darkrai, eating a nice move from Hack, not falling too passive, because he can recover again later. So he manages to smack Darkrai on the switch, and that's really big, because at least Darkrai isn't going to come in multiple times. If Darkrai came in for free there, then that very likely could have just been game. We don't even know Hack's last, but it's probably safe to assume that it can't handle, Darkrai coming in over and over. But even with that in mind, then the last is probably going to be something speedy, like a Scarf Chomp, because it's got a T-Tar and Magnezone support. So that's one possibility. But the thing is that Darkrai's still going to grab a KO here, because Kyogre is at 67 with Rocks and 2 layers of Spikes. So this is where you would let the Magnezone go, and you do. And in comes Garchomp. Oh, sorry, skipped ahead. So, yeah, it is going to be a Garchomp last. Fits perfectly. And Darkrai locks into Trick as Magnezone locks in. So you would have gone to Garchomp anyway. Just lock in a Dragon Claw and get Rabbit KO. So now Latias comes back in, and Groudon can only Toxic. I mean, Latias is still not loving this long term, obviously, but it's definitely not helped out at all. And another argument for Draco Latias, if you could bombard that Mewtwo really hard on the switch, then that would be also very different. So great move from Hack here. He goes to the Scarf Chomp and has Toxic on as Mewtwo fires up a light screen again. And Mewtwo burns it, which is standard fare. So either you Toxic Mewtwo there or you Toxic Groudon. Both are really good. And now with Dialga, I mean, you still have to withstand the Dialga Assault, but with Clefable and, Latias just barely hanging on with its recovers, then it might be feasible. Because now with Toxic, actually you even prefer Toxic and Mewtwo over Groudon, because now Clefable beats it. So now you pretty much have to withstand Latias, Dialga, and Groudon, but that's a lot more doable than doing that and dealing with Mewtwo as well. So in comes Clef, and Byron doubles to Latias with this in mind, not fearing the T-Wave, which signifies it might be Refresh, and the Refresh Lotties have been, it's been time that they start showing up in DPP with the frequency they do in Advance as well, because T-Wave on the Primals is everywhere, and it's just a great move in general, but he's not going for a Refresh yet, and he's just, +2 with Soul Dew. Those Dragon Pulses are really stinging. And withstanding the Latias looks pretty challenging here as well. So Clef goes down, and now it's not looking so great as he's able to sack Mewtwo easily. And actually at this point then, once Chomp goes down, once Chomp and Clef go down, then the Scarf Dialga wins. And that's exactly what we're going to see here. As Chomp goes down with the Poison Mewtwo still saving it off with the burn. Now, there is the possibility that with enough full paras, then Calm Mind Kyogre could win here. If it gets really lucky in the Calm Mind War. And he very smartly goes to... Well, actually no, now Dialga might just come in and win anyway. No, he goes to Latias, because if you go to Dialga here, then... No, I think you could go to Dialga here and Draco. But rather than... Well, Latias is going to get full parried here, but either way, then it's not like... Kyogre is going to make its way through Latias and Dialga. Well, there's another full para. He had to rest there, though. He couldn't take the KO or Dialga cleaned up. So now it's a... Byron's just Dragon Pulsing there. And there's a Thunder. I don't know why. I guess he was maybe trying to... I mean, if he switches Kyogre out, you take that. That's not a problem at all. You can just go to Groudon. And now they're embroiled in a Calm Mind War. But, I mean, even with the para, then... well... now it's pretty simple. Latias is favored, but there was a para, now Recover, trying to stay healthy. Kyogre is, well, now with the Calm Minds have evened out, and I mean if Hack crits he wins, but there's a para, and even that Thunder is doing so much, so Hack really needs to get lucky here as Recover. Thunder's doing a ton. Thunder gets the para, sorry. And yeah, and now it's going to bar some serious miracles, then Byron's gonna win. So Byron moves to the playoffs, and Hack is in the 18-player 2-2 mini playoff for the 16th spot. All right, those are 2 games, and they were really long, so this round recap is definitely going to be another 2-parter. All right, here we've got Mr. 378 against Edgar. Both are in the 1-2 bracket. Edgar took over, and he won against Finch, getting himself on the board and allowing himself to fight for that playoff berth. Both of them are fighting for that mini playoff here. So, here we go. There's a T-Tar. And there's a Darkrai. Now, Darkrai's going to get out of there, not wanting any part of it. And switches to Kyogre on Superpower. So, it's... excuse me. Mine's still a little fried from that, from those endurance tests. So, yeah, T-Tar doesn't want any part of this Kyogre. Probably, Lum or Chople as opposed to Sash. And now Latios comes in on the Kyogre, gonna scare it out. Kyogre to show lefties. And a double back to T-Tar, probably looking to get up rocks in the defensive steel answer. He likes to Fire Blast the Zong just for free chip on rocks, so nice move from 378 there. That's always a nice heads-up play. But now I'm thinking that he might not even have rocks, because he goes for Crunch, which out-damages Fire Blast, because Zong is especially defense invested, and T-Tar does not invest a lot in its lower special attack, so... and the opposite is also seen in Crunch doing quite a bit. So, yeah, might not even have rocks. He's just looking to dish out a bunch of damage. So he chunks the Zong really hard and chunks the Kyogre nicely as well. Now, Latios does eat an Ice Beam coming in, but now I'm not really a fan of this play at all because Bronzong is not going to be useful at 40%, so you just sack it, which, Latios was threatening that anyway. But if you go to, I guess maybe he was fearing Recover, but I don't know. If he recovers, then Zong is out of Thunder range. So I don't think that was really worth... I think it was a good idea, but, a little over-eager. So, a little over-Edgar, even. Anyway, so the reason you don't mind sacking Zong is that Darkrai is so good at wresting control of games. Well, not to mention, Latios is going to be dead to rocks anyway if it KOs the Zong. And you go to Darkrai after, and you Dark Pulse, and then you get a KO on Latios, or, essentially a KO on Latios, and you Dark Void something else, so you'd basically be ahead even if you sag Zong. So, I think sacking Zong definitely was better. It would have been a short-term 5-6 down, and then you would have turned it into a 5-4 lead. Or call it 5 versus 4.5, let's say. And not to mention that Kyogre's chip, but so is the T-Tar. And with Latios down, the Kyogre's a huge threat, as you see here. So it would actually be even better than that, because as you can see, then 378 doesn't want to switch a healthy Pokemon into a chipped Kyogre, and he just lets T-Tar go. So it would have been even better if he had that Groudon to, had that Darkrai to really materialize more of a lead. So Groudon comes in, and this could be scary. If it's Rock Polish, it can Dragon Claw Latios, Fire Punch Zong, and yep, there's Rock Polish. Rather than, because he can live Boom from defensive Zongs, rather than just Fire Punch and go for the KO, he's gonna go for the win. I don't know how necessary that was, because if you're going to Zong, and if you have a Fire Punch, which it's either that or Stone Edge, then you can just take the free KO and keep your Groudon healthy for later. But either way, Edgar's gonna be forced to go to Kingdra and Sun. Survives the Dragon Claw and Draco's as Life Orb. But with Kyogre going down, I don't know. I think he should have gone to Zong and then back to Kyogre or something. Felt like he gave up his reign too easily. So now in comes Mewtwo, and Kingdra's down, so he just lets it go. Now Latios can scare out Mewtwo, but if it Calm Mind, not so much. Even if it's Dragon Pulse Draco, then Mewtwo can handle it as he Calm Mind recovers. He's going to be looking for Thunder Paras in Sun, which is, unfavorable odds, as Ice Beam and Thunder does get the Para the second try, so that's pretty lucky. So now Dragon Pulse and a full Para, so Mewtwo goes down. And but it's not Draco Latios, so Garchomp's Habin is going to actually survive it, because it takes like a max HP and Spadef for Habinchomp to survive Draco Latios. But it lives that. So now Edgar's last is going to be Rayquaza, which is going to finish off Chomp with E-Speed. And with the offensive nature of 378's team, then it's likely that he is going to have something to outspeed and finish off a 90% Rayquaza. He's got a Dialga and a Draco Meteors, and so I assume it's a Sleep Talking Aura Sphere set that better sleep absorbs from Darkrai. Which is why he didn't Dragon Pulse. Buddy Dracos and Ray goes down. So we go on to Game 2 with 378 packing a 1-0 lead. Alright, this is my favorite turn in the entire tournament. Ho-Oh leads off with Kyogre, and if you think... I have a feeling you might know, or you might have a hunch about what's about to happen, and let me tell you, that's exactly what happens. What you think is going to happen, happens. Ho-Oh is going to outspeed and Brave Bird and cleanly drop Kyogre because it is choice banded, and non-bold Kyogre gets crushed. So, as far as I'm concerned, 378 just won the entire tournament with that alone. Of the many items Ho-Oh can run, I mean, we've discussed Band before on this channel because Sacred Fire will knock bulky DOS down into burn range. and it's just really good and really tough to switch into in general. But that is definitely another major benefit as... Yeah, let's just see it again. Honestly, the rest of this video is just going to be me rewinding that over and over. Look at it. Ugh, it's just beautiful. Let's see it from the other side. Oh, no, we have to get the full thing. Alright, last time, I swear. Oh my god. Could watch it all day. Anyway, so Kyogre goes down, and 378 is up 6-5. So, Scarm comes in, knowing it's locked in, and is going to get up some spikes, as Mewtwo comes in to threaten a whole host of unpleasantries. As it drops a Thunder and gets a Para on Latias, showing it is Life Orb, and he just goes right for Ice Beam, just trying to rip right through it. And Dragon Pulse comes up short, and Mewtwo's going to have 2 more Life Orb hits. Scizor comes in and absorbs. But right now, it looks like Ho-Oh is going to just... With Latias paired as well, Scarm and Scizor, it's just looking like Ho-Oh City. And Mewtwo, even better than Edgar tries to predict a switch in U-turn or Pursuit. But Mewtwo self-destructs, and Scizor tried to U-turn on the Bullet Punch. He didn't want to let Ho-Oh in for free. So, that's a great move on 378's part, because he could have easily just gone to Ho-Oh, on Bullet Punch, or even if you get Pursuited, so what, you get another KO with Ho-Oh. Not to mention how much of Edgar's team is battered so far. Latias 34 impaired, and he gets a big self-destruct off on Scizor, so even that's chipped now. So Groudon comes in. I'm not sure I agree with that, simply because there's no way. I guess he could have Brave Birded again, and maybe Scarm could have come in. But at least he gets the sun up for his Groudon now. But the reason I would have gone to Ho-Oh there is because you're getting another KO with Ho-Oh, and you're doing it before rocks go up. And now you're in that unpleasant position of having to... Yeah, I mean, see, there go the rocks. And now Ho-Oh gets 1 more switch instead of potentially 2 or even 3 more. So, Latias is... At least, 370's got a healthy team still, and Latias goes down. And the Groudon is Fire Punch at that, so even Scarm can't wall it. And instead he's going to be forced to fight it with his own Groudon. His only saving grace is that at least 378's Groudon does not have lefties. And he goes for a Lava Plume, hoping for the burn, and he gets it. It's not Lum, so probably Custap. And now, with the burn, then Fire Punch isn't going to hurt Skarmory, and it can start stacking spikes. So all he's got to do is sack Scizor when Ho-Oh comes back in. So I think going to Ho-Oh after, rather than... I mean, yeah, getting up the sun permanently would have been nice and all, but you can just Brave Bird. And if the Scarm comes in and gets up spikes, then you go to Groudon, you set up sun there, and get up rocks after Ho-Oh's already chunked it, rather than... I don't know. Or you can just go for Sacred Fire if you want to just burn everything. Because it's not like Skarmory would still want to... Because even in rain, then that way you still punish Scarm for trying to switch into Brave Bird. And Edgar probably would have just sacked Scizor anyway. So Sacred Fire, Brave Bird, both fine. But I think Ho-Oh should have come in there. And 378 tries to get Ho-Oh back in there. But Edgar makes a great move with Whirlwind. And Groudon comes back in. So now basically both of those are KO'd. As he's going to get to the second layer of spikes. So I think keeping Ho-Oh was safer. I mean, with Groudon burned, then it's not like it was ever going to do anything. So you may as well hold Ho-Oh back and get that guaranteed Sacred Fire KO. And you would force 378 to... Or you would force Edgar to reveal something else to deal with the Ho-Oh. Something faster. I mean, I'm sure he has like a Scarf Dialga, or at least a Shadow Sneak Giratina or something. But most likely a Scarf or a Mewtwo of some sort. But at least you would force that reveal after getting a KO with Ho-Oh, rather than losing the Groudon you were going to lose anyway, and losing the Ho-Oh and not getting a KO out of it. So in comes Jirachi, and if this is some defensive Jirachi, yep, there's the T-Wave, and Edgar goes to Scizor just out of fear of something funky it could do to Scarm, just trying to scout it. But, and he loses Scizor for nothing, which I think was kind of unnecessary, because I guess he was afraid of Trick. So, but as soon as he T-Waved, I think he could have gone, as soon as he saw T-Wave and lefties, he could have gone back to Scarm, rather than just letting Scizor go, keeping it for death fodder. But, yeah, Ho-Oh is sacked on Roost. Palkia comes in Thunder, and he doesn't, for some reason, he doesn't have Fire Blast, or, I don't know, as Edgar tries to sack Groudon, but Thunder and Tina O comes in on EQ, so that's threatening as well. And since it's Sun, then, well... and now we see a Giratina. This is a team that really struggles to hurt a Scarm with a lot of its pokes, since Palkia doesn't Fire Blast and Jirachi's completely walled by it. And this Tina O, I assume maybe it has Will-O-Wisp, like Dragon Claw, Shadow Force, EQ, Sneak, or Will-O-Wisp over... Well, with usually Will-O-Wisp would go in the Shadow Force slot, but now he's tried to... Shadow Force is a great move, but even if it was Will-O-Wisp, then it wouldn't do anything to the Scarm because it's paired, and he's just stuck spamming Dragon Claw, and it looks like Scarm is going to, win this game, because as long as he doesn't Whirlwind 2 Palkia on a Wish, then, I mean, it's just a matter of time. See, now Palkia gets dragged in, yeah, that's one more switch in, and he does not have a fire move on it. He has Hydro Pump on a Sun Palkia, which is a choice I disagree with. And so Scarm is just gonna, I mean, unless he gets full parried or crit or something, some seriously unfortunate stuff. And he just whirlwinds, and now he's back to the Tina O that can't hurt it. And so skipped ahead there, but he whirlwinded in Jirachi, and then whirlwinded Palkia, and that got KO'd. And now it's just a matter of time before we go to Game 3, really, as Groudon comes in. And now we see something cool. So we thought it was just a standard Iron Head T-Wave Wish Protect, maybe U-turn kind of thing. But Groudon comes in on T-Wave, and this Jirachi reveals that it is, in fact, Grass Knot. And that is really cool. And I think we've seen, I think Gary Oak had a really cool Grass Knot Expert Belt Jirachi in one of his series. But that's more for the end of tournament recap, because I think that was in a 3-0 series, which didn't have bearings on playoffs. So, yeah, we saw some wild stuff in those. Anyway, and again, that's for the post-tournament recap. Anyway, so Grass Knot luring in, with T-Wave luring Groudon, that's really cool. I really do like that. Problem is, well, now Rayquaza is just going to win as well. So as it outrages, and it looks like Scarf Rayquaza, if, by my estimation, as he just goes for outrage where he could have otherwise EQ'd, and he needs speed, so that's really cool. So 1-1 after that rocket of a start. Then I think, yeah, I mean, Ray was not coming into Ho-Oh there and just revealing it, forcing it to be revealed. I think this game could have gone very, very differently. So, I mean, it's, I mean, great work to Edgar as well for bringing it back. That was impressive. I got a lucky Lava Plume burn, but, hey. Anyway, so, Game 3. Kyogre, Dio Speed, Rocks, Surf, Sash, it's coming back. So now Taunt to prevent Kyogre from T-Waving, which is very cool. And now in comes Mewtwo and sets up a light screen. So Baton Pass is banned in this tournament. Usually the sight of a dual screens Mewtwo, it means that a Baton Pass Mew is coming in after. And it's really cheap and stupid and kills the tier and kills the game and just, ugh. So that's why Baton Pass is banned. No sense in having it ruin this tournament. But some players have been experimenting with just regular dual screens Mewtwo. God, I really got a vacuum in here. If I don't vacuum in my room for like 2 days, then dust starts piling up. And it's been like a day and a half. So, yeah, so some players have been using like just regular dual screen Mewtwo to set the tempo for some big offensive hitters like Rock Polish Groudon. So it's really cool to see, as Mewtwo's going to get up both screens and then self-destruct. And even if it self-destructs into a Giratina O, then it's fine because it set the stage beautifully with Light Clay and everything. And turns out it's not even going to get to do that because it gets paralyzed. But Edgar now goes to Groudon, preserving the Mewtwo for Death Fodder, as Surf actually does a pretty decent chunk still because it is Kyogre. But with Sun and Light Screen, then Groudon comes in. He just fires off an immediate Earthquake, eating the Ice Beam. He might have a Healing Wish somewhere to bring that Groudon back for later. But Kyogre gets chunked, does not have lefties. Could have Custap, could have Lum or Whacken. But it also... now Scarm comes in, and then comes a Darkrai. So those screens may be helpful still. Who's to say? But Darkrai is not exact. When it's a Scarm and Darkrai coming in, then screens are not really the pivotal factor here. Although Darkrai is going to force something else to come in and try and revenge it, and the screens could affect that because this is the last turn of Light Screen. But there's going to be one more turn to reflect, and with T-Tar coming in, then that reflect is helpful, even if focus misses, but it doesn't. And let me just make sure the music, yes, keep playing. Yeah, so focus just drops it. And now Kyogre is going to come in. It's going to be Custap. No, he fakes. He tries to bluff Custap, or I guess maybe just set up Swift Swim. But down it goes. Darkrai does not have that. So he goes to... Oh, I guess he wanted to make Accurate Thunder. I don't know, it might have been better to just make sure he gets the Sand Chip on it, rather than replacing it. As, well, now, well, the Dialga's not Scarf, so it's a fairly slow team, and Darkrai looks like it's gonna get a clean sweep off. So that was a real back and forth roller coaster of a series. And with it, Edgar has placed himself from subbing into an 0-2 record to fighting in the mini playoff for the 16th slot. So impressively done to him. So good games to both, cool stuff, and we move on to Donkey versus Johnny G2. This is in the 2-1 bracket. So loser will drop to the 2-2 playoffs, and the winner will cement their spot in the real playoffs. Yeah, the playoffs. Anyway, so game 1. Kyogre, Darkrai. Shiny Darkrai, I appreciate that. Kyogre does not pack Lum, but instead it will it switch? Will it Sleep Talk? It Sleep Talks and fires off a Thunder. Now is it going to be Spec Sleep Talk? Well, even if it isn't, then it's not like it wants to stay in and try to Sleep Talk against Dialga, as Dialga gets up Rock safely. So yeah, that's how Kyogre lead stuff has evolved. They're not even running Lum anymore because there's so many other good items to run. Lefties, Whackin', Custap, even Quick Claw. So nice work on Johnny's end taking advantage of that. It's like a long time ago in OU when Machamp lead started out and it was always Lum, and then they started running Sash, and Roserade lead started doing what was previously unthinkable and sleep powdering them. So it's a similar kind of development. So Kyogre comes in on Bronzong. Is it going to be a Specs Kyogre with Water Spout? No, it's going to Calm Mind, unafraid of Boom, but then again, booming early with Bronzong is generally not a good idea considering how relied on it is for defense. There's a Thunder, no Para, there's a T-Wave, and now an Ice Beam as Johnny tries to force the issue and survives a second Thunder, also no Para. Kyogre really is a brute force monster, isn't it? Although Latios does at least chunk it really hard in return. Kinger's going to come in and Waterfall. Now, I thought that the new school was going to be all about the Specs Kingers, but we've been seeing a good chunk of mixed Life Orb Kingers, the old school set, so that's cool to see. So, and I guess with the influx of Blissey, then it makes sense. So, Waterfall is going to take Kyogre out, and in comes Dialga, which does handle Kingdra pretty well. And Bronzong is going to come in. We've seen this before. Thunder not doing too much. EQ also not doing too much. And, you know, Dialga's got Paralysis on its side. And Bronzong's helped out a lot with that EQ crit. And there's the chunk. And what was going to be a Dialga one-on-one. Dialga win. I mean, it would have been chunk. But now Bronzong has the win instead. So in comes Ray, and that's an interesting choice on Johnny's end to reveal... Well, I guess... No, that's a good move, because it forces Donkey to reveal something else. Because if he went to if he went to Darkrai, then Donkey just goes to Kingdra after in revenge. And with Dialga down, then it's not likely that Johnny has something else that he really wants to switch into the Kingdra. So, great move to get the KO and force something else on Donkey's team. This is a big part of any DPP tier, managing information. So, good move. Goes for Overheat, which is unaffected by rain because of Airlock. And down, not that it would have mattered at that point anyway. And Donkey reveals his own Darkrai. Darkrai plus Swift Swim is a great combo. And he misses a Void, and now he's going to have to switch out because he's assuming that Johnny's Darkrai is a Scarf lead, so that was, well, I guess after the Bronzong thing, then, you know. So, it looks like it's not Scarf, it's Taunt Darkrai, which we've also been seeing some more of, so that's very cool. And now Kyogre can't sleep talk. He can only hope to wake up. And he wakes up and goes for Thunder. And I thought that was interesting that he went for Thunder instead of a Water move. Maybe he didn't want to miss Hydro or something. But that Thunder does a lot, so it does look like it's Specs. So yeah, I don't know why the Spec Surf wasn't used there. So it would have KO'd the Darkrai. And he tries to Dark Void and misses, so luck on both sides in this one. And DOA. DOA Ray is such a great pairing, as it's going to Thunder. And now Kinger's going to come in revenge. Or Ray, in fact. And now it's going to be a matter of E-Speeds. And there's Wob. And Wob is a great, great pairing with DOA and Ray. Because what revenges them? Generally, Scarfers. And what does Wob feast on? Scarfers. So there's E-Speed into Draco, which Wob is not going to be able to take. And now that's making it look like Johnny is going to be able to clean up this game. As Donkey's Ray beats him to the E-Speed. And I think he was out of range for the other one. For Johnny's E-Speed, and looks like Johnny does not have E-Speed on his own DOA. So it was probably that sub 3 attack stuff that's been popular in this tour, which is cool. So 1-0 Donkey lead. Some luck on both sides in that one, but overall some very cool teams and some good play. So DOS T-Tar Spikes. We're gonna. Oh, sorry, skipped ahead by accident. We see Spikes. We see Crunch. We see Culber. So a lot of information. It's not payback. We see Taunt, so he's not afraid of breaking the Sash. He just wants to not let up rocks after he's gotten his 1-layer spikes, because he valued that more than getting up a second layer, because second layer is kind of poop. I think maybe you could go in for second layer, and if he gets a rocks, then at least you get 3, but I mean, that's player preference and all. So we see a slow Hydro Kyogre, so we can assume some T-Wave stuff there, most likely, because if it didn't have T-Wave, it would almost definitely EV itself to outrun plus speed T-Tar. Just because that's also that Groudon range, which T-Wave has nothing to do with, but you are more inclined to run 0 speed if you have T-Wave. Anyway, so he just goes right for Hydro, doesn't try any T-Wave stuff, and he dodges the first Stone Edge, so some accuracy fun there. Second hits and does a pretty nice chunk as Kyogre finishes it off with Ice Beam. And now Zong comes into Latios. Now DOS Zong is not a common pairing, but it is an effective one. Because DOS draws... Because you want defensive stability when you're sacrificing a Pokemon for hazards, and Zong provides a lot of that. And it gets a lot of rocks opportunities. It can boom later in the game, so unusual pairing, but an effective one. As Jirachi comes in, and rather than get up rocks, if it has rocks, maybe T-Tar had it. He's just going to U-turn out and go to Scizor. This is the most OU team I've ever seen, by the way, from Donkey. That's crazy. So Tina O comes in on Jirachi, and Scizor comes in. Not exactly a threat to Tina O. It's going to take 2 Thunders and not even a banned Pursuit, I don't think. No, it's the old Uber Trapper. That's a real throwback with Pursuit, Life Orb Pursuit into Life Orb Bullet Punch, not quite doing the job, and now Groudon comes in and hopefully scares out Giratina O as Donkey, or baits Draco and gets a crit, which is really nasty. It might have had a EQ, we don't know, because it's standard on rain teams, but now Chomp is in Sun, so it can't be walled by Zong if it's got Fire Fang, which is likely. And it eats Habin, and it eats Outrage, but at this point it looks like Donkey has sustained a ton of damage, and Johnny's team is healthy, and Donkey forfeits as soon as Latios comes out. So yeah, with the steals going down, I mean, we don't know enough, but it looked... I think Johnny was quite advantaged, and Donkey's offensive assault didn't quite come together as intended, but yeah, we're going on to Game 3. So, Ogre... DOA, Spikes, Thunder looking for Para, no Para, Superpower does a good chunk, and it's going to reveal if this Kyogre has lefties or not. It does not, and in comes Latios with a Spike down, in comes Zong. Zong has had immense usage in this tournament. It is really such a reliable poke. As it Dracos instead of Thunder, and that kind of suggests that it has Grass Knot as its Kyogre hitting move instead of Thunder, which suggests Sun Team, and indeed, we see a Groudon. So... that's how these little things can work. Not an exact thing, of course, but suggestion is a big part of information management. And Zong gets a Prox, runs from the Groudon, gets Kyogre in on the rocks for a big assault. Latios doesn't mind switching into Ice Beam, or, well, in this case, Hydro. Even with rocks up, down to half, but Bronzong, doesn't mind the spike. But he does have Thunder, which is not common on Sun teams. They usually like Grass Knot, HP Fire, and then a number of stuff. Calm Mind, Recover, Memento, Roar. I like Protect personally. T-Wave, Heal Block has been seen in this tournament. You can even do Dragon Pulse as well, so you have double Dragon Stab. But you can run Grass Knot and Thunder and be more flexible. You can even run Surf, but that's more for rain teams. But yeah, you can run Thunder, and I wasn't expecting it, and neither was Donkey. So Thunder on Sun is generally not seen, but it can. I mean, when you're fighting Kyogre all the time, then of course it's going to have places where it's useful. So it also ensures that if you're fighting a rain team with Scarm, then Scarm doesn't wall you whenever rain's up. So nice call from Johnny, as Zong is going to be 2-hit KO'd, and yeah, so Kyogre is going to be at very low health when it comes back into hazards. But in comes Darkrai, and we know how good Darkrai is at getting that 1-up with Dark Void. So Void goes off, Dialga absorbs, Sleep Talk is likely on Scarf and Bulk Up, but it doesn't look like it has lefties. But it's also slower, so... so it's Sleep Talk. So the likeliest Sleep Talkers are Scarf and Bulk Up Rest Talk stuff. But Specs obviously can fit it well as well, because nothing like absorbing Sleep and then launching a Specs Draco. And we know it's Specs because that Rain Fire blasted over half. So, and it was slower. So we see this is a physical Darkrai with Brick Break, so it's gonna have Pursuit and Sucker Punch and stuff. So nice move. Well, actually, I don't know about that one, because you can get another free Life Orb hit anyway. But, oh no, that was a great move, because if you just, it's not about preserving the Life Orb thing as much as preserving Darkrai as a sack. Because if you just fool around with, I guess you could pursue the Dialga and ensure that it goes down to hazards or something, but that's kind of a waste. When then you have to switch into Groudon after. So that double to Latios on Donkey's end was really smart, because it ensured that he has the advantage in the one-on-one against Groudon rather than having to switch into it. And, so that was a really heads-up play, rather than trying to make something happen with the Darkrai completely walled by the Groudon. So, great move. Johnny's got a Heatran. You don't see Heatran alongside DOA spiking much either. But again, it's like with Zong. You like that defensive backbone to make up for the fact that your lead is going down very early in the game. And Heatran loves spikes, so match made in heaven. So, it is going to switch into Latios perfectly. And Kyogre only gets one more switch into hazards, and Groudon's at full health. So it looks like this Weather War is going to Johnny. So he makes a nice move in going to Dialga. That was a really nice move. It's a similar idea to what Donkey did with the Darkrai, in that it... what did it do? It prevents Kyogre from coming in for free, and instead forces Donkey to go to Latios. And yeah, you don't want to take another Draco. Well, actually, since you don't want to take another Draco now, I'm not so sure about it. But I guess he can sack the Dialga and then... Yeah, okay, it prevents Kyogre from coming in for free. Yeah, I guess you lose... you lose a Pokemon anyway, though. So, now I don't know if it was worth it, honestly. Yeah, because now... At least if Heatran stayed in on the Darkrai sack, you would have gotten more lefties back with Heatran. So now I kind of think that Heatran should have stayed in, actually. But, minute detail, because now Latios is going to come in. Or no, Kyogre's going to come in anyway, and you sack the Dialga. Or not even. You Sleep Talk, and, well, Fire Blast does nothing. And it goes down, so effectively the same thing. But yeah, now Latios comes in. And you would have, because that Fire Blast made no made no difference anyway. I was really expecting Latios to come in, so I think getting more lefties on Heatran for the sake of absorbing Latios would have been more helpful. But yeah, Johnny's looking to. I'm assuming he's gonna be trying to clean up with a Scarf like Dialga, or not Dialga, Palkia, in the end game anyway. And so he's just got to bruise enough of Donkey's team and withstand it long enough. So. Since Dialga was being sacked anyway, Heatran would have preferred more lefties, so yeah. So Latios comes in comes a Ray. The Groudon is at full health. Oh, it's a Lugia, so if it's going to be a fast Calm Mind, It's a fast Calm Mind cleaner for the end game, and it answers things like Chomp and, well, especially Ray, is really nicely, and it's fast, so... whereas usually Ray is, terrifying for these kinds of balance things. That's really nice. You have DOA alongside Heatran, and this is some really nice synergy I want to point out. Not just the DOA Heatran thing we talked about, but Lugia is really good against offense, which can sometimes bowl Heatran over, and Heatran is really good against the bulky stuff that doesn't care about Lugia. Like, Lugia gets stopped by things like Jirachi and Skarmory, and Heatran just rips those and annoys their teams up. So, great pairing, really innovative synergy here, and you love to see it. So now in comes Latios, which has free reign to fire off Thunders, or Draco Meteors, because you don't want Groudon coming in for free, and it Calm Mind, so yikes. And if this has, yep, oh, that sucks a lot. And it gets Dragon Clawed, and it gets KO'd. Now, I don't know how much of a difference this made, because... Well, Heatran is... well, if it's Recover... I guess it depends on the Heatran set. If it's gonna... Yeah, okay, well, it has a Toxic there, which misses. So if Heatran had Toxic and it was gonna go to -1 anyway, then I'm not sure if that really... yeah, I don't know how much that mattered. Especially since it has Protect. As Ray SDs, and now he's gonna... What's he gonna sack? Not Heatran, surely. Yeah, Latios instead. As he preserves the Heatran-Lugia combination because they're so good defensively against so much of the metagame, and that's good against the unknown factor of Donkey's Last. As in comes Latios again. So yeah, now I'm not sure... I mean, that obviously sucked a lot, but since it avoided the Toxic, then I'm not sure how much of a difference it made. Yeah, if Latios is just flailing with Thunder, then odds are the last was not going to deal with Heatran either. So, I don't know. That game one was messy too, so. Yeah, that was that. So, we're going to finish this up with one more series. Stone Cold versus Ray Scarface. So to reiterate, Donkey falls to the 2-2 bracket, and Johnny G2 advances to playoffs. Yeah, now we've got a final series of this video, with 2 from the 1-2 bracket. Stone Cold versus Ray Scarface, both from when Gen 4 was the current gen. You'll love to see it. And they show their Gen 4 affinity with Tentacruel leads. JK, that happened after Gen 4 was the current gen. So we see T-Spike spinning, Hydro, Chip, and comes Chomp on Tenna. And we see Rock's Chomp, which is unusual, but cool to see. And we see Stone Fiercely Icy Wind, and that's unusual because, I don't know, it felt strange because most of the time when Chomp comes in, you don't expect rocks. It's not like the Tank Chomp of later gens was ever really popular at any point. So it's not something you play with the expectation of. And I guess you could say, oh, there's no way he just EQs and gives me a free switch. He probably doubles to something, or at least Dragon moves. So I guess there was that. But that felt very risky, because it's probably not too much of a stretch to assume that if Tentacruel goes down, then the other Tentacruel is going to go crazy with its own T-Spike. So, but Stone does not have any regard for his own Tentacruel, as he Icy Winds on the Tina-O, which subs up. And that is a very bulky Tentacruel, because those Icy Winds are doing nothing. And in comes Dialga. Now, Sub Calm Mind Giratina used to be the standard in Platinum, and it really stopped being as popular in Heart Gold and Soul Silver once it got Shadow Sneak, but it is still a really dangerous threat, potentially. And that Dialga is either very fast, or that Giratina is very slow, as this does not have Aura Sphere like the old Platinum set, which was Sub Calm Mind Pulse Aura. Sub Calm Mind Dragon Pulse Shadow Sneak sounds like the coolest set ever, but digress. So Dragon Pulse comes up short, and Tina-O does finish off the Dialga, and that's pretty nice because a lot of T-Spike's teams really hate Dialga. So that's if you can get that to go, then that just works out beautifully. Now Icy Wind does Zilch, but it's also going to live Dragon Pulse. Oh, that's so cool! Oh my God, that's so cool! That's what this tournament exists for. Let's see that again. I have never seen that set ever. I never saw it in current gen. I never saw anyone experiment with it. Truth be told, I didn't even know Giratina learned Paint Split until now. and I've been playing this gen for well over a decade. So, and I don't know how I missed it either, considering how many times I've flipped through its move pool either. I mean, Destiny Bond is one thing, but Pain Split, Sub-Calm Mind, Pain Split, Giratina, oh my god, that's so cool. So now it's going to completely destroy that Tentacruel one-on-one, as it gets enough HP to live 2 more Icy Winds, actually, at +1, and it's going to easily knock Tentacruel into Dragon Pulse range. God, that is amazing. I love that. I don't know why he chooses to not take the KO on Tentacruel, though, because the Giratina is so slow. Yeah, I think that was a mistake, because the Giratina is so slow, it's not going to be helpful if you switch out and get it in at, 16 or 28 if you manage to clear rocks. It's better to just get the KO. And then, if you get the KO with Tentacruel, then your own Tentacruel can potentially get down T-Spikes and you can do something with it. So, yeah, I don't know. I think Dragon Pulsing there was definitely the better move. Especially because now both players are going to... Well, no, Stone's not going to lose his rocks. He's not even going to... Well, he gets his T-Spikes, but now he goes to his own Giratina, which looks like it wants to sub. But it's going to be altered Giratina, which has the benefit of lefties, of course. So... Oh, whoops, there's game 2. Now Jirachi comes in, and bulky Jirachi against this kind of Giratina is not going to be doing too well because pressure and Iron Head does not break the sub. And yeah, so its only hope is that it will be able to stall out which is not unrealistic, because Spadef Jirachi has been known to stall out +6 Latiases in OU, and that Latias has much higher special attack than Giratina. Problem is that Latias does not have pressure and sub protect, so but I think Ray does not want to get pressure stalled, so he goes to his own Giratina and subs, and he's just trying to burn as much Dragon Pulse PP as possible. So he passed a Wish to it, which was cool, and I really do love that Pain Split Giratina. It is amazing. But he's gonna burn a couple Dragon Pulses, but he's still got 12, so with Protect. See, that's the problem. He's got a... I mean, he passes a Wish nicely to Garchomp, but the thing is that Stone has a lot of Calm Mind PP, so... Yeah, and any wrong prediction with switching Jirachi out, and see there's a +6, any wrong prediction with switching Jirachi out results in a KO. So... although it doesn't look like Dragon Balls are going to break it, so... Yeah, I don't know why. That was a risky switch, but it paid off as, Protect, and... Yeah, the thing is he's got a lot of Calm Minds, but... Oh, that was a nice move on Stone's end. After the Protect from Jirachi, Dragon Pulses just to feel it out, and he catches Garchomp, whose Haben was never going to save it there. Yeah, this is a tough one, and, yeah, Sub-Calm Mind Giratina can really take over games. Can either do nothing if you don't, remove the Dialga beforehand, but it can also do something like this, as Ray is forced to resort to really risky switches just to keep himself alive, as, yeah, pressure eats up his attacking PP really quickly. There's a Dragon Pulse. Ray assumes that he will not go for a second consecutive Dragon Pulse, and he wishes to Latias, and Jirachi is now potentially in KO range for Dragon Pulse, and he does in fact go down, and he has 2 left for Tentacruel, Latias, and Ray decides, yeah, I'm not going to win this one, so he decides to preserve his last. And now we're going to switch sides for game 2, so we keep it consistent. DOS, T-Tar, Rocks. T-Tar usage is through the roof in this tournament, by the way. I'm gonna make a video about the usage stats in this thing. Sash, Crunch brings it down, that's classic. Groudon comes in, faster T-Tar, Rocks, EQ down to the Sash. Chunk from Crunch, bringing it down. Groudon does have lefties. In comes Dialga, into the follow-up Kyogre, Calm Mind. Ooh, that's rough, as the Dialga is faster, so we don't know if it's Specs or Scarf, but that Thunder gets a crit KO as the Kyogre showed lefties. Dialga comes in now into, well, we don't know if it's Specs or Scarf or Expert Belt or something, but that Dialga, that second Thunder crits and paralyzes, as Stone reveals he has Specs Dialga himself. He thought he would chase it out, but Ray just stayed in. And got lucky in that Stone Specs Dialga, which is otherwise probably quite a threat, is now neutralized as Stone goes to Blissey and Seismic tosses. So Blissey offense is kind of Stone's signature in this tier, so it's always cool to see players. And there's the other signature part of it. He likes Healing Wish Blissey on offense because it does cool stuff like wall stuff and then Healing Wish to Specs Dialga. So the Specs Dialga is not wasted after all, and it comes in and fires off Dragon Pulses, and it's now at full health, meaning that unless a Lucario comes in, well, I guess Darkrai and Dark Void too, but it's pretty hard to slow down. And Dark Void misses, and there's the Specs Dragon Pulse, so it winds up doing nothing. And Draco actually KOs it, which is surprising, so I guess it's a 0 bulk Specs Dialga. And in comes Chomp, and Outrages. With Groudon at a little over half, well, half after rocks, then it's not going to be doing too well at staving Chomp off, as Chomp takes the EQ, going to be 2 KO, but takes it comfortably, and 3-turn Outrages, and takes out Groudon. And now it's a last against Stone's last 2, and Shadow Sneak does not KO and breaks the confusion and Outrages. We don't know the last. We don't know if it would have been able to take on the Giratina O or not, but either way, that was a really interesting series. So that is gonna finish off this video, all the series in this one, and in the next video we will cover the remaining series of round 4 before getting into the playoffs. Thank you guys for watching. I will catch you in the next one.